This tutorial is going to be about how we can bake bevel shaders inside of Marmoset Toolbag on a low to low poly mesh and a high to low poly mesh. So for this I have a simple cylinder with simple material, and I have a high poly mesh which has these indentations and a simple shape which has no indentation, and this one has a material called cylinder underscore blender just for the sake of demonstration, and this one's called high and low. And I've exported all of these meshes, and we're gonna see how we can bake them inside of Marmoset Toolbag. So first of all, I'm gonna add a bake project, and in this bake project you can see it's set to high and low, which you can see high to low poly baking. I want this to be a low poly to low poly baking, right? And I'm gonna set my outputs. So I'm gonna select my location, which is cylinder low poly bakes. I'm gonna select targa and I'm gonna call it cylinder and hit OK. I'm gonna up the sample count, and just for the demonstration I'm gonna be using normal maps. I'm going to bring my cylinder, and you can put this inside of low poly, or you can put the whole thing inside of low poly like so, right? Either way it works. So I'm gonna select my bake project, and right now you can see it's set to source material, and this is the source material that it came with, and this is where I can set my baking. So under normals, surface normals, I'm gonna switch this to bevel. Right now you can't see anything because there's no low poly material assigned. As soon as I make this up, like about 55, 56, and I change this to result, it's gonna bake, and it assigned that map, right? So I can come back to this material, which was the source material. I can always change this width, as you can see, or make this go up like so. So this is how you bake the bevel shader on low to low poly object. What if the shape was a bit more complex, so we can see this working with AO? I'm gonna add a bake project again, switch this to low, and I'm gonna set this to low poly bake. So shape, I'm gonna set this to targa, okay, and I'm gonna bake ambient occlusion this time. Up the sample count and bring my meshes. So just for the sake of demonstration, I'll be using that shape with indentations. Put this under low, and in the bake project I can come with the material that was high assigned in Blender. Change this from normals to bevel. Right now you can't see because it's not baked, and I can move around the light, and I can make this big. This mesh was quite big, like 3 meters or something. So I'm gonna assign about 55, 56, and as soon as I switch, boom, it made a new material and assigned it. So you can see my bevel. I can play with the values, make this big or make this small to make it sharper, like so. So this was on low to low poly baking. What if this was a high to low poly baking, right? So I'm gonna add a bake project, and this time we're gonna use high to low. I'm gonna set my output maps to high to low. I'm gonna call this shape targa, up the samples. I'm gonna bake the ambient occlusion again this time, and I'm gonna bring my meshes, so high and low. There we go. And high to low set. If I can take a look at my cage, it's fine. So since the low poly had a material which was used as a source, last time it made a new material. This time high has its own material and low has its own material, right? So in the high, I'm gonna make this bevel and make this up about 50, and as soon as I bake, and hit preview, it's gonna assign this low poly material back. So look at this. I can come back to my high, play with the size, like so, or make this smaller, like so. So this is how you bake bevels on low to low or high to low poly meshes inside of Marmoset Toolbag 5.02. So hope that helps. If you have any question, leave it down below in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.